Good evening, everyone. Just to bring councils into the loop, I believe you've been informed, but we have late entry for a public forum. There's been a problem with our system, and two gentlemen are here tonight to speak to the public forum. So before we start that process, we should advise that this public forum is being audio recorded for administrative purposes. By speaking at the public forum, you agree to being recorded. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at the public forum that you are respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this public forum. Okay. I'd like to invite Mr. Ross Evans up to speak for the motion in relation to the rescission motion, which is in relation to the Dean Street parklets. Ross, if you want to just step up, please, and come to the mic.
Sorry. You can come up, yeah, please. You can come up as well, please, if that's all right.
Thanks, mate. You'll get 5 minutes and then there'll be time for questions at the end.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, councillors. Thank you, councillors, for having us along and listening to us tonight on the motion of the parklets. Unfortunately, mine's brief. I'm not going to take 5 minutes of your time. The parklets have used their use-by date. They're at the stage now where, unfortunately, they're unsightly. They're not being used for the purpose that they're needed. Like, I walked through there this morning and there was packets of rubbish from KFC and other food vendors and around and such. It's become now an unsightly eyesore on the main street in Dean Street, and it's the simple fact of the matter is I'm here to support that they've seen their time and they're due to go. I'm afraid it was a fantastic idea at the time, but they are past their use by date. So I'm there to support that tonight.
Thanks, Ross. Any questions for Ross? Stuart, thank you. Councillor Baker.
Thank you. Yeah, question to you, Ross.
Sure.
So if the parklet's gone and the street is as it is and there's still rubbish, that would be easier to collect. Yeah, is that the case? Yeah,
look, Councillor Baker, they're not being maintained the way that they should. There's virtually no garden left in there with them. The bollards are a hinder to cars coming down the street. You know, there's the Dean Street in general at the moment's pretty untidy looking, like it needs some maintenance, and I haven't seen much maintenance. If you go along the street and you look at the light posts and all those sorts of things along there, they're badly sun faded. The footpaths that were put in of the tiles, like the pavers years ago, they look terrible. Like, the whole thing is looking very tired.
Follow-up question. Yeah, so to paraphrase, I guess, you're saying the whole of Dean Street as well as the parklets are pretty ordinary.
Yeah, it's looking pretty ordinary at the moment, yes. Yeah, and the parklets don't help. Like, they're weather beaten. They look terrible at the moment.
Okay. One more question, if I may. Do you see the need for green space and other places that might encourage people to sit?
Yeah, certainly. Like, you know, I think it's wonderful that people can congregate in the CBD and come and use them for what they are. Unfortunately, they're just at the stage now where the maintenance has been provided on them. They now look really untidy. Plus, they're actually taking car parking away from Dean Street, and you know, I know it's only 4 car parks, but they're valuable car parks to us. You know, they are in that area of town at the same time. But I have I was never opposed to the parklets. I was opposed to where they're positioned, and the idea after COVID where they came in and they were to be like it was a community grant to put them in and such was fantastic at the time, but they've outserved their purpose now, and now they are just an eyesore. Yeah, unfortunately, in Dean Street, they're not neat at all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Councillor Baker. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you for speaking this evening, Mr. Evans.
Sure.
My question to you, perhaps along the lines of Councillor Baker, I appreciate that you'd like the parklets removed. However, would you be in support of other seating along Dean Street?
Oh, certainly. I don't have a problem with other seating. Like, we are blessed with really wide footpaths in our CBD. You know, I understood the concept of the parklets back in the time when COVID was on, and food vendors needed to have somewhere, which originally that was the way it was sort of, or the way I understood it was put to, like vendors in the street, that they could be used for helping to put seating out for when after COVID was on and restrictions were on with social distancing and all those types of things. Unfortunately, that's all past now. Like, it's just past its time. And as I said, we're very blessed in Albury that our footpaths are so wide. Like, you know, we spend a bit of time in Melbourne occasionally with our family down in Brunswick and places like that. You know, the footpaths down there are a quarter of the width. Okay, and you know, they pushed parklets out into the car parks, you know, and those sort of places. They were fantastic, and it was a real lifeblood to those retailers down there and the food vendors in those days. But unfortunately, I think the concept was missed slightly, and you know, I think that the parklets, you know, it just creates a bottleneck for traffic along the street there. At the same time, you know, the parklets actually could come up onto the footpath and be redone and distributed further down the street into different parts, QE2 Square and things like that. I'm not totally opposed to them, but I'm opposed to them there and the way that they look now, and that the view they give to people coming in and entering the city at the same time. Like, it all looks very tired. And you know, the gardens haven't been maintained. As I said, that you look in there, like half of the plants are actually missing. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Hudson, question?
Thank you, Mayor Mac, through you. Thanks for coming and speaking tonight, Mr. Evans. I guess my question to you is, the proposal from the staff that council has supported at the previous council meeting was to reinvigorate the parklets, do the necessary maintenance on them, and refurbish them to a point where they're no longer an eyesore. So the question is not really a question between the status quo and removing them. It's really between removing them or refurbishing them. And so I suppose my question to you is, given that that's the case, is your opposition to the fact that they exist at all and that they're taking up parking, or that the sort of untidy way that you perceive them to be?
My opposition to them at the moment is that the way they look, and they're untidy. It also is that they're actually taking good, valuable car parking. I have no objection to the parklets, provided they're in the right place, and they could be split up and actually come up onto the footpath. There is ample room around the town, and they should perhaps be distributed along Dean Street. Like, there's no reason why there couldn't be one down in QE2 or one down the other end of the street somewhere, if the width of the footpath allows it. Okay, but at the moment, the way that they're actually put in there, it just bottlenecks the street up there at the same time. So it actually, to me, it looks a little bit dangerous.
Sure. Just a follow-up question, if I may, Mac.
Sure.
I think one of the intended purposes of the parklet, certainly for myself, is a reclaiming of space reserved for cars for people. And the staff have done parking surveys in our CBD, which shows an occupancy rate of about 58%, I believe. And so I appreciate that there's obviously not an equal distribution of parking across the CBD, and that we have multi-deck car parks and all of that sort of thing. But in essence, I suppose, what would you say to what I'd put to you is that we have actually more than enough parking in our CBD, and therefore by reclaiming some areas of what is now used for parking for people, that's actually a good thing for our CBD?
Councillor, as I said, I am not opposed to the parklets. I'm opposed to the way they're taking up the car parking. And as I said before, the footpaths are ample wide enough in Dean Street. Like, they are much wider than most municipal towns around, except perhaps Wagga, for instance. But they don't need to encroach into parking at the same time. It's a very, I don't want to rant about this, but it's an antiquated idea that you shop out the front of where you park, or you park out the front of where you shop. But in reality terms, with people that come in and visit the region, some people have to park close to where they actually shop at the same time. And the way the car parking is spaced out along the Dean Street, and this is actually not a forum about the car parking, but the way the car parking is spaced out along Dean Street, you know, it's difficult. And it's very, very rarely is there any spare spots. You know, the amount of people that come into my store and buy a pair of shoes and they say, I've been trying for 2 weeks to actually come, but there's never a park close by. You know, I've seen council over the years try and implement different parking strategies where, you know, we've even run a bus up and down the street for a small donation to get on and off the bus and be delivered anywhere you want, which didn't work at the same time. We need the parking in the Dean Street, and, you know, at a almost a record vacancy of businesses in the CBD, which is a whole nother issue again. We don't need anything else thrown up against us to actually have to climb over. Like, you know, we want Dean Street to look vibrant and happy, and, you know, if there's more seating can go in up on the footpaths and things like that, might be a slightly different way that's actually done. Absolutely all for it. If there's some greening of the CBD and it makes it look much more vibrant and things like that, fantastic. Don't have a problem with it. Really happy. Really happy. The more people I get down my end of the street and are happy to hang around and look and shop and browse and things like that, super happy. You know, it's an eyesore.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, councillors? Doesn't appear to be. Thanks, Ross, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Okay, we now have Anne Withingslow, who's also speaking for the same item, which is the item in relation to the parklets. Thank you, Mr. Withingslow.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Thank you, councillors, for allowing me the time to speak with you on the parklets issue. Ross has covered quite a lot of it, what I've already got down here as well. Look, we did a survey back a couple of years ago, and I approached with others, 50 odd businesses and so on, about the parklets, and knowing that the concept of it there and then was that if it was a great thing, they were going to expand it and put more in to the street. On the business that we spoke to, and the majority, and pretty much a complete total agreement, they didn't want them. They didn't want to reduce any more parking. They didn't want the parklets there. They certainly liked the idea and the concept of it, as Ross has mentioned, but certainly didn't want them taking up valuable car parking spaces. Now, if you look at those 4 parks, I think it is, that we've got there, if you work it out by hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it is thousands and thousands and thousands of hours a year that there's restricted parking or loss of parking. Now, although there's lots of other car parks around the city, which we value and think is a great thing, as Ross said, if you've got people coming in from the rural areas, they don't want to park somewhere where they've got to walk for 30 minutes or 20 minutes each way to get to a store to then go back to their car and drive away. They'll be picking up product and produce and whatever other things that they want to do from in the city and drive back home. And if they've spent an hour and a half or 2 hours to get into the city, they certainly don't want to park somewhere in a city that doesn't have the facilities, such as the larger cities, to allow you to manoeuvre around a CBD. We don't have any free trams, we don't have any free trains, we don't have the infrastructure here to help support the things to make people move over greater distances. So that's some of the issues that we have found. Ross has mentioned all about the unsightly look of them and so on. They're obviously a constant maintenance problem, which costs money for the ratepayers. You know, they're referred to by the public and other people as the onions, you know, which isn't something that's quite, not many people like onions, as in a raw onion to eat or whatever, and it's not a pleasant remark. It mentioned about the safety of them. I don't know why, in the concept even initially, why you would block off the main street and the main thoroughfare of a city and give yourself a 12-foot space to drive buses and trucks through. And the bus companies or the bus drivers themselves have already made remarks to other people that we're aware of in business and so on about how difficult it is to even make the turns on that corner to come around. So just as a safety aspect of it, great idea, great concept, wrong position. It's things like this that we've discussed before with the council as to what the reasons are why we don't want the parklets in that position. And I'd like to just say that I doubt if any tourist has ever come to town and said, "Oh, you've got to go visit Albury because they've got the best parklets in the country." That's somewhere I want to be because I want to sit there and be noticed or seen or whatever. There's a lot of social media these days with people with what they do. I think there's many other iconic things in Albury that we can appreciate and respect that people would want to take a photo of and say, "I've been there." That's pretty much covered what I've done with Ross there as well.
Thanks, Aaron. Questions, Councillor Callaghan?
Thank you for your presentation this evening. Just want to go back to the survey that you did. I was a councillor in the previous council. Just wondering if you can refresh our memory about how many businesses you surveyed and what was that weighting?
Yeah, I think it was just a little over 50 businesses and people within the CBD that I spoke to. With the help of Ross and some others, and the majority, and I'm talking well into what I could remember back then, about 98% said that they didn't want them there. Quite a lot of them said great idea, but again in the wrong position and stopped taking up car parking spaces. Yeah, so the survey was pretty well straightforward. There wasn't a lot of favour for it. Very little favour for it, in fact. And I just think that maybe there's been a misjudgment by the process and concept of this, and maybe not enough consultation with business to really get the best out of what the parklets should have and could have achieved.
Just a follow-up question.
Yeah.
And just a question, I'm not sure if are you part of the is it Albury Business Connect, where you meet as different groups of business?
Albury CBD,
Yeah,
yeah.
and has that been something that's been raised in that?
Oh,
forum,
many
that you've been a
times.
part of that discussion?
Many times, yeah.
Okay.
We've discussed this many times in respect to make council aware of it, and other businesses and so on have put it to us to bring it up to meetings and that type of thing. So yes, it's been discussed at quite a lot of length for the removal of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Thank you. Just a question, because we've got different statistics in our report. Survey of businesses showed that 60% wanted them retained, and this was a survey of 10 just recently, and 35% didn't. So are you disputing that, or do people answer differently when there's a deposition that comes to their door and answer differently when there's no one looking over their shoulder? I just wondered how you reconcile those differences.
I would question the survey, yes. And it's quite easy to survey the opinion of people in favour without understanding the full questions or the concept of what's going on with items such as the parklets. I think that the parklets in reference to a social area, which is what it was mainly set up for, and for the food industry and whatever, so restaurants and places like that, would be in favour of something to be able to be seated at for extra space for people to relax and take their time. Not necessarily the parklets themselves as being in the car parking spaces, may be the question that wasn't put to people in the right context. And anyone in business that I know of, and I've never come across anyone who says they want to reduce their parking.
Okay, any other questions, councillors? Councillor Hudson.
Thanks, Mayor Mac. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. Mr. Whittingslow mentioned a safety concern around the way the parklets extend out into the street. My question is, do the parklets extend further into the street than would the line marking or parking if they weren't there?
Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Hudson. And I have got an image of the parklet, and it does follow the white line of the street at the moment. This the concrete barrier. So yes, it does take up 3 car spaces. It is close to the corner, but it does follow the white outside back line of the street marking.
Thank you. Follow-up question. Acknowledging that obviously the visual bulk of the parklets is very different to just open air that may be there if they weren't there. Are we aware of many car accidents or bingles that have occurred in that location because of the concrete barriers that are around the parklets?
I'm not aware of any. Thank you for the question. I'm not aware of any, but I can follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just a question from me, and in relation to your own business, where is it located?
It's down on the western side of Dean Street in the 600 block.
And previous to Business Connect, you've been on committees of council in relation to Dean Street, is that correct?
With the Albury CBD, I've been on the committee there for 20 odd years.
Which was
Or more.
previously something.
Albury Central.
Yeah, Albury Central. So you've got a fairly innate understanding of the processes and policies of council.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So what you're suggesting is that whilst you appreciate the intent, your concern is that the dilapidation issue, or is it about the fact that they're taking up car parks?
Both.
So in terms of your response about people wanting to park outside businesses, I respect that is a reasonable assertion, but there are so many parking options in Albury, as Councillor Vega did indicate.
There is, that's correct.
Your suggestion is that those 3 parks are a deal changer or breaker for businesses in that precinct.
They're integral to the businesses within that area there for sure.
Yeah.
Because of the fact, as I mentioned, most people that you talk to when they want to park and do their shopping want to park where they can, closer to a business that they want to access and not use it as a social event for a day outing. It's about business. It's about getting the best bang for buck.
Yeah.
And if you can get more people in your door because you've got parking spaces where they can pull up safely and comfortably and come and shop in your business, that's better for commerce and business all over. Although there's quite a lot of other car parks, the high-rise car parks and things that we've got around town, and things like Vault Lane and Wilson Street and so on, and the surveys that have been done where there's something like 60% of the parks, if you're in the real time hours of the day when business is happening in the CBD, those areas are ignored by parkers. The people want to come and park within the CBD as close as they can. And any restriction of parking within the main strips of what we're talking about is inherently damaging to business.
So in relation to your own business, if I'm correct, the parking was changed there a few years ago. I don't know that it was in the last 10 years, but you lost parking in front of your business?
There's been a mixture of things that have happened. We've had some extra parking put in, but a lot of things have changed since the disability parking's been put in. That's made a big change to the actual street itself. Yes, it's needed. Of course, it's necessary. But there are certain areas, I think, that could be rejuvenated and brought back, or other areas could be looked into, which I don't really think get the maximum use, and that's some of the areas where the buses park in the main street. And just little things, it's not much, but we've got the taxi rank there in the main street. That really doesn't need to be there. You talk to the taxi drivers, they say, why haven't we got one at West End Plaza? We need a car park there at West End Plaza. Instead, we get shopping trolleys after shopping trolleys after shopping trolleys dumped in the street because people who need to use that facility walk up Kiewa Street, drop their shopping trolleys there, and we'll have a dozen shopping trolleys sitting there for a couple of days, getting ridden up and down the street, making a menace of themselves and whatever people do with them. And that's an eyesore again. So the taxi rank, I think if you speak to the taxi people themselves, they'll probably tell you that they want to have a taxi rank in a different position. That's an area which could be parking for shoppers. Another small area is out front of the commercial club, their ill-fated outdoor dining area, which now become the smokers area. Even though it's only a small little spot there on the end of Townsend Street, we've lost a couple of car parks there, and there's a few other areas we could note and talk about over the actual CBD that's caused some issues over the time frame.
Okay, thanks, Anne. Thanks for your presentation. I don't think there's any further council questions. So thank you for your time tonight, gentlemen, and sorry that we had a minor glitch in our recording
No,
process.
that's all right. No worries. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, councillors. Well, we'll move into our meeting, and we're here for the council meeting for the 11th of August 2025. We will start with the recording, and no, we won't. Yes, we will. Okay. Start with the opening affirmation and the welcome to country. Thank you, councillors. Councillor, which one were you? Callahan.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson.
We would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today and pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. Speaking to the recording of this meeting. This meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting that you are respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of the council meeting. An audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Okay. Conflict of interest declaration received by the chair and disclosure of political donations. I've received a conflict of interest declaration from Ms. Bridget Leopold. Nature of the conflict is pecuniary. Brief description is agenda item 13.2 relates to the acting CEO appointment and CEO leave. Name of the council meeting is the council meeting, acting CEO appointment, CEO leave. The action is I'll leave the room for this agenda item. Conflict of interest declarations are for completed disclosure of political donations. Ms. Leopold.
Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, Section 10.4 requires a person submitting planning applications or submissions regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donation and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. The disclosure statement forms are available on Council's website or from the Customer Service Centre and must be lodged in accordance with the Act. The forms are also available at the back of the chamber during meetings. There were no development applications for consideration at this meeting, and accordingly no advice was required regarding specific planning matters contained within the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979.
Thank you, Ms. Leopold. Apologies. I think we're all on deck, so we have no apologies. 4.1. 4.2, attendance by councillors at meeting by video, audio, visual link. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bukowski.
I move the recommendation that council receive, note and accept the attendance of councillors Glacken, councillor King and councillor Cameron via audio visual link for the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Callahan.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We have no Merrill minute. Action plans, please. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Glacken, did you have your green up there?
Thank you. I move the recommendation that the following action plans be received and noted. 1, actions complete and for noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress. And 4, long-term issues more than 3 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
But a second that, Mayor Mack.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, did you wish to speak to that at all?
Thank you. No.
Okay, there appears to be no questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Confirmation minutes of the previous meeting held on Monday, the 28th of July, 2025. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Bullivant.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I move the recommendation that the minutes of the council meeting held on Monday, the 28th of July, 2025 at 6:03 p.m. be confirmed.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
I just second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Bullman, did you wish to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Appears to be no further discussion or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against the motion is carried. We have no reports from community forums. Notice of motions, notice of rescissions, notice CM 9.1, notice of rescission, CM 13.3, Dean Street Parklet update and next steps. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'd like to move the rescission motion that Council A retire the Dean Street Parklets. That Council rescind resolution CM 13.3 of 28th of July 2025.
Thank you. Councillor Bullman.
Happy to second it, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to as to why we should rescind that at this point?
I'm happy to hold my right of reply.
Thank you. Appears to be no debate or discussion. Happy to put that motion. All those in favour? Councillor Baker speaking against rescission. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. It happened fairly quickly.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm speaking against this rescission motion. In my opinion, nothing has changed in the last 2 weeks to convince me that we should alter the motion we passed at the last council meeting. And just a couple of points. 60% of businesses surveyed supported the retention of the parklet. Only 35% didn't. So I find it odd that we're going into bat for something that wasn't supported by the majority. Council officers recommended that the parklet be retained. And just because the parklet offends the sensibilities of one or more councillors due to the untidiness and cigarette butts stubbed out, it is not a valid reason to throw the baby out with the bathwater and get rid of the parklet. Similarly, I place considerably more stock in the business survey carried out by council officers rather than the word of mouth survey that was mentioned at the last council meeting conducted by one of my fellow councillors. There is a need for the parklet, and I might point out that many people less privileged than the collective group of councillors here tonight are beneficiaries of this well-utilised place to rest on Dean Street. I regularly see a homeless man that sleeps down at the river, sitting at the parklet, and I don't believe he smokes. On the issue of cigarette butts, if the parklet is removed, I can guarantee the butts will still be discarded on Dean Street. So really, my sentiment is, and we could improve them, make them better, and that's what the resolution was from last council meeting. But I don't think getting rid of them should just be about fashion. It should be about the livability of the CBD, and more green spaces are desirable, not less.
Thank you. Speaker 4, Councillor Bukowski.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. So I'm happy to support the rescission motion to retire the parklets and restore the former car parking spaces. So the loss of 4 parking spaces does directly impact local traders' visibility and accessibility. And that's a critical factor in customer flow and revenue. And I also note that several businesses remain concerned about parking limitations, how unkept they are, and also the antisocial behaviour in and around the parklets. Rather than fix parklets, I'd like to see council explore other options that enhance safe, secure and well-designed seating options that don't encourage antisocial behaviour, that also enhance the walkability and street vibrancy without compromising parking stock. And that's why I'm happy to support this rescission motion.
I was speaker 4, but I have questions from Councillor Glacken and Councillor Hudson. Councillor Glacken, question, and the speaker against. Thank you. Question.
Yes, I had my against up, but I also need to ask a question. So my question is with reference to the number of parking spaces that have been foregone because of the parklets. So we have had a speaker earlier in the presentation from the community indicating that there are 4 parklets. We have had a councillor mention in their speaking for this rescission motion that there are four parking spaces lost. However, my understanding from the staff report is that it is 3, and from their answering of a question earlier this evening that it is 3. Can it be clarified if it is 3 or 4 spaces, please? And I confirm, yes, I would like to speak against.
Thank you. Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Glacken. I will take it on notice. My understanding was it was 3, but if there's people here that could absolutely confirm that, I'm happy to be corrected. But my understanding was 3.
Ms. Leopold.
I can only make reference to what's on our website at the moment, which does reference 4 car parking spaces, but I agree with Mr. Glass, perhaps best if we confirm that.
Thank you, Ms. Leopold. Did you wish to speak against Councillor Glacken?
Yes, and thank you. Confirming speaking against the rescission motion. In essence, I do not believe that anything has changed. I do not believe that we have any new information, and therefore I do not believe that we have sufficient gravitas to be able to, or indeed need to be able to, reverse the decision most recently taken by council. Much of the information that we've been provided with tonight in either debate by the councillors or from the community have not indicated anything different. We've heard tonight, well, I suppose we have heard something different. We've heard tonight about taxi ranks, bus stops, about shopping trolleys, in addition to the cigarette butts that we had heard about 2 weeks ago. In essence, none of those are actually directly affected or a result of the parklets. So they have nothing really to do with the parklets. I understand it's either 3 or 4 parking spaces. The reality is that there are significantly greater number of parking spaces either on Dean Street or on other streets. Parking space difficulties, as have been raised tonight, are not just about in front of the parklets. It's about parking spaces taken up by taxi rank bus stops, by disabled parking, was in answer to one of the questions from Councillor Baker. The council survey, as Councillor Baker has highlighted, provides a different answer to that undertaken by by a community group. And indeed, Councillor Baker suggested why that might even be the case. It was also raised quite legitimately that by the first speaker, that the spaces at the moment do look untidy, they're unmaintained. And that is absolutely true, and that was acknowledged in our staff report 2 weeks ago, so nothing has changed. The reality is that the staff report indicated that they wanted to undertake maintenance, they wanted to maintain, they wanted to replenish and revitalise the garden spaces within that area to make it more beautiful. Nothing has changed. There is no more information. So I cannot support this rescission motion. I can only support that we continue to maintain those, or we enhance and increase the maintenance and renovation of those parklets, that we then continue to look for opportunities that are longer term than those parklets in that space as they are at the moment, or indeed as they would be refurbished. So no, I cannot support this rescission motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. Speaker 4, Councillor Bulvin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac. On the original motion, I was one of the councillors that voted to have the parklets removed. Now, one of the things for me about coming onto the council as a new councillor is listening to the people on the street. Now, I've done, as Councillor Baker alluded to, word of mouth surveys, which in my view, that's where we get most of the information. We get reports, but the people in the street every day that use the street, use the area, the traders are the people that I value their opinion the most of. We've got a few issues in Dean Street at the moment, and I noticed that cleanliness is one of them mentioned, but I saw today that our new street sweeper was activated in Dean Street, so that'll probably help clean a few of the pavers up. But it's all about the parking, it's about getting people into Dean Street, and it's about listening to people that give us information. And I'd see that I commend a couple of traders who've come in tonight to give us their personal feedback. But I will be supporting the rescission motion because I think the parklets have passed their use-by date. It was originally a trial. And in saying that, I'm in support of getting some sort of seating in Dean Street and making it a bit more affable for people to come and enjoy. But at the moment, I can't see the parklets being that answer.
Thank you, Councillor Bullivant. Any further speakers for or against? Doesn't appear to be. Happy to close, Councillor Callaghan?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Baker. I think there is new information. I think that what's happening in the community is really they're talking to each other, they're online, and they've come out loud and clear and said that they needed to be removed. We actually had a 4-4 vote last council meeting too. We have a full tenure of councillors here tonight, so I think that lends itself to making a more equitable a vote this evening on the parklets. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion on the rescission to rescind the resolution. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. So we move to 9.2, notice of motion, Dean Street Parklets. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'd like to move that Council A, retire the Dean Street Parklets. B, initiate a public expression of interest process to explore the sale of the asset. C, restore the car parks. D, use this as an opportunity to refocus on strategic CBD revitalisation through community-informed placemaking. And E, request council officers to investigate more permanent options on Dean Street with a report to be provided within 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Bullivant.
Happy to second, Mayor Mac.
Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, did you wish to open debate?
No, I'm happy to close debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against? I have no speakers for at this point. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. I'm not going to rehash what I said at the last meeting because all of that holds true. What I will say is that I think this issue has become conflated between retention, or rather getting back car spaces, versus whether the parklets need to be revamped or not. And I think that's unfortunate. Ultimately, there is no world in which we could ever provide enough parking out the front of businesses that everybody would be happy. It's not possible to do. And ultimately, I think that if people we do have an abundance of parking in our CBD. We do need our CBD to be a place for people, not just for cars, because ultimately the things that are inside cars are people. I don't know how many times I've walked through a car park and thought, goodness, this place was clearly designed for cars, but not for people. But yet people need to use them. I think it's unfortunate, as I said, that we've conflated these two issues. And ultimately, while I will oppose this motion, I do appreciate the inclusion of point E, which is a request that council officers investigate the more permanent option, because that was an integral part of the previous motion, which was passed by council. Because I think it's very clear from the community, whether we're going off anecdotes or whether we're going off actual surveys, the community appreciate like public amenity, they appreciate green spaces. It's very clear whether it's in Albury CBD or whether it's in Lavington CBD or if it's out in Thaguna, the community do want these things. And so I think that this is, unfortunately, it should not be an argument about whether or not we get 4 car spaces back. I mean, let's be serious. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of car spaces across the LGA. And so this shouldn't be about that. It should be about whether or not those parklets could be revitalised or not. So I do oppose the motion, but appreciate the inclusion of point E. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hudson. There appears to be no speakers for. Another speaker against, Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Yes, I'd just like to reiterate what I said before. I think it's a shame to lose the parklet. I think point B, expression of interest, we'll spend more money on exploring what people want to do with it than what we're going to get for it. So I think the parklet's, in my opinion, probably worthless. So There's no need for a B in there. I do appreciate the E. And, you know, I hope going forward that we are more aware that our city needs more green spaces rather than less. And I'm also a bit, would you say amused? Probably not amused, but to bring this back for a rescission motion in my book is frivolous. And, you know, the Gang of Five gets together again and there we go. So what's the point of order?
The reference to a gang of five. Inappropriate.
Point taken. I won't go there. But that's all. Really, yeah, just can't support this motion and didn't think it needed to come back to council. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Baker. No speakers for. Councillor Glacken speaking against. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to be another speaker against this motion. And yes, I confirm I was against retiring the parklets last week. The reason I supported it was because it's about the bigger picture. It's not about only a couple of traders or a number of traders in that immediate vicinity. It's about the bigger picture, the whole shopping experience. And might I add, it should primarily be about the people who are doing the shopping. Who are the people who have foregone those 3 or 4 parking spaces? It's the people who go and do the shopping. It's that whole shopping and customer experience. It's not about the retailer experience. We're trying to create a bigger picture, holistic, positive shopping experience for our community. And it's not just the people of Albury, it's the regional people as well. And so I find it really quite frustrating that this has had to come back again because the decision last time was that we would look for a bigger picture, longer term solution, but in the interim, we would maintain this facility until the staff had a better suggestion for that area. That would then resolve the issue. One of the issues is raised directly about the space, and that was that they are looking tired at the moment. That would have resolved that situation. I recall from our previous report when we discussed this just over a year ago, was my memory, that the cost of retiring these spaces is actually more expensive than it is to maintain these spaces. I also recall that the staff believed that it would be little to nothing that we would be able to gain by way of compensation or payment should there be someone interested in taking on these parklets. So I do not believe that this is a cost-effective solution. I think this is going to be more expensive for us as a council, and therefore for us as a community to undertake this motion as we have tonight. It's a short-term motion. It does not allow us to deal effectively or more cost-effectively with a longer-term outcome. So I think part of this is looking at that big picture, longer-term outcome, but in the short term, it will be more, it will cost more to us as a community. So I cannot support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Glacken. There appears to be no further speakers for or against. I'll be speaking for this motion. Previously, when we had this motion in the chamber, I voted to remove the parklets, but unfortunately, given the role of the chair, the amendment was lost because it was a tied vote, and the chair is responsible to vote according to the recommendation of staff, which I did. However, in relation to the concerns of some councillors who are speaking against this particular motion or this rescission, I find it a little bit interesting that the numbers that are being bandied about are not accurate or inaccurate. And
point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, councillor Cameron.
I'm afraid there's no such rule that the chair is obliged to vote in accordance with the staff recommendation. That's completely untrue.
Well, councillor Cameron, I think you probably should access Renton and read up a bit. I think you will find that is the case.
I don't agree, Mr. Mayor.
Interject.
Is it possible to have a say on this too?
No,
Interject.
there's no such thing as an
No,
interjection.
he's the point of order. So, no,
If-
I'm
if
not
Councillor
accepting a
Baker-
point of order, Councillor Cameron.
If Councillor Baker can't follow meeting procedure, he needs to address that.
Thank you, but I'm ruled on your point of order. I've said that you need to update your Renton and read the instructions that clearly state that that is the role of the mayor when there is a tied vote. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Thanks for the disruption. So more importantly, I think the parklets, having been on the previous council, as I think three of us were. The original intent of this, and during the conversation of COVID, and during the discussions with the committees that we held during the COVID era, it was discussed about how we could stimulate businesses coming out of COVID, and parklets were discussed and brought forward. We were very supportive of it. It was an initiative to stimulate businesses and provide businesses with a fill-up. Unfortunately, during the time and issues associated with getting it on the ground, COVID had well and truly passed and the period had well and truly lapsed. And these were introduced during the winter of the following year, I believe, which was 2022, which again wasn't ideal. But the reality is they were a trial, and a trial is a trial. They were never designed to be sitting there for the period of time they've been there. And whilst it's meted against that we should maintain them and provide maintenance to a very flimsy presentation as they are, is quite significant. And the cost to remove them, actually, for the information of council, is 30K. The cost to maintain them and bring them up to scratch is 34K for the next 12 months. So essentially it's cheaper to remove them than it is to leave them there. But more importantly, it is a trial. And when we put a trial in play, it leads us to the next parts of the motion, which is investigate and refocus on the CBD, find and investigate other options to expand on that. And I think there could be opportunities for permanent seating. There could be opportunities for other opportunities within that precinct. But I just think that we're forgetting that it is a trial. It was never intended to remain there. It is an eyesore, and it is clearly something we need to remove because the trial is over. Thank you. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to close debate?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac. I'm happy to put.
Question, Councillor Glayton.
Thank you. Question of clarification. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. My understanding is that Councillor Mac just referred to refurbishment costs of $30-something thousand. My understanding from the memory of the report from 2 weeks ago was that it was $10,000, up to $10,000. Can that be clarified, please?
Sorry, Mr. Glass.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Clacken. You're correct. It was $10,000, $34,000 since we've installed the parklets.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the, thank you. Okay, Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to continue? Thanks.
I'm happy to put the debate. I think we've heard fortnight ago and now we've heard from the community. I think we're ready to vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 10, presentation deputation. There are none. CM 11, reports of minutes of committees and working parties. There are none. There are no documents for sealing. 13.30, officers' reports for consideration. 13.1, the draft property strategy. Thank you, councillors. Anyone? Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation that Council A endorses the draft property strategy for public exhibition for 28 days, and B, if no submissions seeking amendments are received, the draft property strategy be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Just second the motion.
Thank you. I have a speaker asking a question, Councillor Callaghan. You happy for me to take the question?
Yes, Mayor Mac.
Councillor Hudson, question.
Thank you, Mayor Mac. Through you to the most relevant member of staff. I note that in the acquisition criteria laid out in the strategy criteria case talks to environmental sustainability. and whether the proposed acquisition would contribute to the protection and enhancement of natural environment. I couldn't see any sort of explicit corollary in the disposal criteria. So I was wondering what consideration, if any, had been given to that.
Mr. Miller.
Sorry, I was already on. Thank you for the question and through you, Mayor Mack. So that's the establishment of the governance process around it. So the property group that would be considering those considerations would go through that process and would make an assessment whether a recommendation to council would be to dispose of the property.
Thank you.
Hudson.
Just follow up. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I understand that. My question is, we explicitly mention the environment in the acquisition portion of the strategy, but not in the disposal. So my concern is really relating to, and I'm not suggesting that this would be something that this current council or current set of council staff would engage in. But if we had a case where council owned environmental land that we didn't have, or land that had rather environmental value, perhaps not environmentally zoned land, that there's no explicit consideration in the disposal of that, of environmental protection, if that makes sense.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you for the question and through you, Mayor Mack. So just for clarification, environmental lands we wouldn't be able to sell because they're community land. We can take that as feedback and put that into the considerations for the strategy moving forward.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Miller. Thanks, Councillor Hudson. Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to open debate on this item? Thanks.
Oh, no, I do not. Thank you.
There appears to be no further question or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. 13.2, the acting CEO appointment, CEO leave. We'll wait for Ms. Leopold to leave the room before we discuss this item. Don't know how I'm going to survive without the acting CEO here.
I'm happy to help out, Mayor Mack.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. You're always helpful. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Bullivan.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. I move the recommendation that council appoint Bridget Leopold, Deputy CEO, to the position of acting CEO during the CEO absence on leave from 27th of August 2025 to 7th of October 2025 inclusive.
Thank you. Councillor Bukowski.
Happy to second the motion.
Thank you. I have a question from Councillor Hudson. Councillor Bullivan, you help me take it before we open debate?
Yes, by all means.
Councillor Hudson, question.
Thanks, Mayor Mack, through you to yourself or the most appropriate member of staff. Just a question because I'm a new councillor and we haven't had to do this before. It says that the delegation of authority enables the mayor to appoint the CEO to the temporary position for a period no longer than the date of the next council meeting. But the 7th of October is certainly well past the next council meeting. So I just wanted to understand the mechanism. Is this something we're going to have to keep doing at every council meeting until that date, or?
Well, at the moment, it's a resolution of council that it is to be appointed between those dates. So that's in absence of the motion. So
I see, I understand. Yep.
So the motion coming to under delegation, the mayor can extend between meetings if there is not a motion on the floor. However, there is a motion on the floor that gives us clear air to do as what is stated in the dates. So that's the timeline.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bullivan. Open debate.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. More than happy to support this motion. Recommendation from our CEO whilst he's on leave that Ms. Leopold fill the role whilst he's away. A very capable member of our executive team, and I'm sure that she'll do us a wonderful job.
Thank you. No speakers against. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor Mack. Also very happy to support this recommendation. I think Ms. Leopold will do the job very well. Thank you.
Thank you. So there are no further questions or debate. Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. If we can invite Ms. Leopold back in, please. Thank you, councillors. Ms Leopold has returned to the chamber. Okay, CM 14 officers reports for noting. CM 14.1 Eastern Hill Activation Master Plan Due Diligence Studies Update. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Glacken.
Through you to move the recommendation as a motion that Council A receive and note the Eastern Hill Activation Master Plan Biodiversity Assessment, Vegetation Management Plan and Aboriginal Due Diligence Assessment Report. B, share the updated information with the Albury City Aboriginal Advisory Group and Dirra-Malang Elders Group for information. And C, add the due diligence reports to the Albury City website under the relevant project area. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Thanks, councillors. Councillor Baker.
Peter second.
Thank you.
Mayor Mac.
Councillor Glacken, I have a question before we start. Are you happy to take the question?
Thank you.
Councillor Callaghan, question.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Mac, to the most relevant staff member. With no funding set aside for the next year for the detailed design, what grants or partnerships or other funding sources is council looking to make this activation possible?
Thank you. Mr Costello.
Thanks very much for the question, Councillor Callaghan, and through you, Mayor Mac. Look, there's always a range of grants that come across council's desks, and we review each of those grants on their merits based on suitability for a whole range of projects. So there's none springing to mind or open right at this point in time, but we'll certainly keep those in mind and can report back to council if opportunities present themselves for future grant funding.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question, if I may.
Follow up, yeah.
Originally, there was 600,000 set aside in the 4-year delivery plan. That's changed since our latest adopted budget. What would that $600,000 deliver, or what was it hoping to deliver in the interim? Given that the project was in, I think, the scale of $5 million total. So, yeah, thank you.
Was there a response?
Yep.
Mr Costello.
Thanks very much for the question, Councillor Callaghan, through you, Mayor Mac. Absolutely, that was seed funding to progress the detailed designs of a range of different elements. So there was I think 25 different project elements included in the master plan, and that money could be used to progress the detailed design of some of the more higher priority elements identified within the master plan. So there are a number of those. So it just means at this stage that they're not being progressed at this point in time until the funding does become available to progress those detailed designs and concepts further.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr Costello.
Thank you. Councillor Glacken, do you wish to open debate? Thanks.
Thank you. Withstanding the reality of there not being particular buckets of money that we can apply for at the moment, this is part of the series of processes that we need to undertake. It was a requirement that we go back to reassess both the biodiversity but also the local Aboriginal implementations being Aboriginal land. And there are a number of other stages that we will continue to go through until we are able to undertake components of that master plan. It's something that will all be continuing to come back to council over a number of years as we reach each of those milestones into the future. And I have no doubt that our staff will be incredibly diligent in ascertaining what grants are available to us or might be available to us and making application for those. So I look forward to other components coming to us in the very near future. Noting that, I also confirm that the information contained in the report indicated that we are on track. There are a number of areas that we must continue to monitor and consider as we move forward, and some of the components of the master plan have areas that are more significant that we need to monitor. However, this report indicates that we are able to continue to move forward with this master plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Glacken. There appears to be no further questions or debate. Just to finish up, having been part of the Indigenous and Aboriginal Advisory Committee, I sat through the wonderful presentations that were done in relation to this particular offering, and it was overwhelmingly received by that committee and respected. And I think again, there's a balance to be had up there. And at this point, the master plan is really important and indicative of that. And I think the Eastern Hill Lookout itself has an enormous attraction and vista of the region. We're talking about tourism attractions before. I think again, it showcases, as the monument does, what there is to offer in the Albury and surrounding regions. And look, I hope to see the future of this particular project progress at some level, but I'm really comfortable with the work that was done by the staff, and they're to be congratulated because it was thorough and well managed. And I know it's been an issue, a topical issue for many residents in Eastern Hill and the surrounds, but I think with the due diligence that was done, respect was afforded everyone, and I'm glad it's reached a point where we can actually put it to rest at this point. So thank you. Councillor Glad, did you wish to close the vote at all?
Thank you.
Happy to put the motion. All those in favour? Anyone against the motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. There's no delegates' reports for noting. Everyone's getting up to leave, I think. There's no notice of urgent business. Any notice of urgent business from any councillors? Forever hold you. No, we're all holding our peace. And there are no confidential matters. So I close the meeting at 7:07 p.m.